Hello and welcome to this special series, Financial Experts Unplugged, brought to you by ICICI Prudential Mutual Fund and the Money Mile. Joining me today are two of the best known financial planners in this country. Gurmeet Chadda joins me, as well as Kshitiz Mahajan. They are founders of Complete Circle Consultants. Thanks very much, both of you, for coming by. And it's great to see your tweets. It's great to see you guys expressing your views on what investors really should do. We also out here strive to educate investors. And I'm going to talk to you both a little about SIPs. It's been a buzzword. Everybody talks about it. But yet I think a lot of people out there don't really understand. Especially in times of crisis like we are seeing right now, where markets are down, people suddenly tend to feel, oh, should I stop my SIPs? What do I do? So we're going to talk a little about that. But to just step back, how do you make an SIP work to your advantage, Gurmeet?
So, so first I think as you rightly said, in tough times is when you start asking more questions. It's a financial planning tool, and SIP is a mode of investment. It's not the investment itself. So it's a great tool where you build up your wealth step by step with financial discipline over long periods of time. Where it works to your advantage is that you can have a clear goal, you can visualize that goal. It helps you monitor your progress towards that goal. It helps you with the traditional concept of rupee cost averaging. Since you buy lows, you buy at lows, you buy at highs, it helps you average out. Removes to a certain extent the timing bit, which everybody seems to be so concerned in the market, and helps you get the power of compounding. So it works in the way that it instills discipline. It helps you to monitor your progress towards your goal. At the same time, it gives access to all the best talent in the country, in this world, because with this tool you get access to the greatest minds you have in this industry.
Let's just delve a little bit deeper into that rupee cost averaging piece, Kshitiz. In a more practical way, how would you explain that to an investor, that this is what an SIP is?
I will take the example of the existing monthly deposits, how it works, and why we have recently seen that the cult has increased in terms of SIP investor, which have gone very high. What has happened in the country? Normally, the traditional methods were people used to do RD on a monthly basis. They used to fix amount. So RD is like monthly basis. Some amount from your bank will go to a recurring deposit, and there is an interest of 6 to 6.5% what you get. It's a monthly basis you can fix. Second, there's an organized way, unorganized way, which is your committees and other schemes, which now clients have started recognizing that it's not very safe way also. And many of the cases we have seen that there are a lot of cases where people have lost money. Similarly, in that fashion, SIP has gained a momentum, and how it works on a monthly basis is a commitment amount. So any client who has a PAN number can choose a day. There are 4-5 days option in a month, and an amount which he want to invest, and a fund in which he want to invest. Micro SIP can start as low as 100 rupees. It can start at 500, 1,000, whatever amount you can try. On that particular day, whatever bank mandate he has given, that amount get deducted from his account. Let's take example of 1,000 rupees. Somebody has registered a SIP in this month. It takes 20 to 21 days to get registered. In the month of August, let's say he has choose 21st of August, the SIP will hit. First, you need a check, first check to deposit a SIP. The check will go, and that amount, let's say 1,000 rupees check will get deducted from your check. The SIP date is 21st. On every 21st of next month onwards, that given amount, let's say 1,000 rupees will get deducted on that given date. Now, if that day is a holiday, or let's say Sunday, or a guested holiday, next day it will get deducted. Till the time that SIP is continuing. Now, interesting part that till when you can have your SIPs. So Gurmeet pointed out the right thing. You can have your SIPs as per your goals. So any SIP which is without any goal will always have your eye that why should I am doing this SIP? If the SIP is not doing well, you have why I should not take out the money and park in deposits. But when you have a goal in place, let's say your goal is 10 years away from now, and last 2 years we have seen that returns are not been very good. Still you can have that patient on your side because you have 8 years to go to achieve that goal. So as and when you have a goal in mind and your SIP is goal oriented, you can actually look at allocating different amounts to your goals. That's how it works.
In fact, Gurmeet, it's become a fairly mass tool, isn't it? Because if I see the Amphi data, it says that the average is 3,000 rupees.
Right. Yeah.
And which means it's not, it is a tool fast emerging as a way for, especially young people who've just started earning. You're not earning enough to be able to put aside 10,000, 20,000 a month. You can start very small.
Yes.
And this whole averaging thing
Yeah.
that you both talked about, I guess becomes even more important when markets are falling, right?
Yep.
Because you end up buying more units.
More units,
So
yeah.
can you explain that a little to our viewers?
So you're right. So it's become affordable, as you rightly said. You can start with.
It's like a sale.
It's like, yeah.
A sale is on.
Yeah.
50% off, 30%
So
off. You go to malls. We love going to malls and shopping at sales. But
actually, and that's where the caution has to be thrown that, as I said, this does not guarantee capital protection. See, as you rightly said, so the concept is that you're investing 2,000 rupees every month. And let's say you've picked up a fund where the NAV is, let's say, 10 rupees. Now, if the markets are going down, so let's say if you're putting, let's say, 1,000 rupees a month, at 10 rupees the NAV, you get about 100 units to begin with. If the NAV keeps coming down, you get more units. If NAV is, let's say, 90 bucks, if the markets have fallen 10, you get about 110 units, right? So, and in the markets are on an upstream, then you probably get a little lesser units than 100. So what it happens is that it, to a certain extent, removes that timing element. So on an average, you accumulate units, you buy, so which is the classic principle of investing, buy more when things are looking, prices are down, buy less when, things are going up. So that is what rupee cost averaging does. And I think there is a long way to go. Say, Vivek, we have 1.96 crore unique folios, of which SIP folios would be about 50%. Number of bank insurance policies is 35 crores. Kshitiz talked about PAN number. We have 30 crore PAN numbers. Right, so we have just touched the periphery, yeah. And as I said, it is so while it is good to start early, and a difference of 5 years in an SIP in terms of starting point can create a huge difference in few lakhs on the final amount. But it is for all age groups. I mean, even if you have a goal which is 5 years, 6 years from now, SIP could even be in a fixed income product. So you can have your medium term, long term, retirement, various types of goals. And to me, it is for all age groups. I think even a 40, 50-year-old can have a 10-year, and with life expectancy going up, average now becoming almost 2x of what it was, few decades back.
And does it work largely for equities, or can it work for a good debt fund as well, the SIP method?
So Vivek, it can be done for any of the funds. And in fact, for the younger people, it becomes more important to save, where they are in different now storytelling saga where they want to spend only. So my suggestion here is that for any class, let's take for example, rightly said by Gurmeet, that if let's say you have a short-term goal, you can have a SIP on ultra short-term fund side. Let's say you want to save for a year's time. No, there is no tool. You can't have equity allocation which is less than 5 years. If the investment period is less than 5 years, you can look at ultra short-term fund. Let's say you want to save for 3 years, or maybe between 3 to 5 years, you can go for, let's say, balanced advantage funds. So it can be any fund you can pick and choose and do SIPs. But yeah, it works in the best interest of client if you have a long-term goal and if you have equity funds on your side. That's
so who can open a SIP? Do I have to have a PAN card? What's the kind of procedure? Do I have to be an adult? Or because a lot of financial planning in families happens.
Right.
They wake up when a child comes into their life, right? And suddenly couples wake up and say, "Oh my God, now we've got this big expense coming up. What do we do? So let's start investing." How do you go about that? I'll come to you first and then get Gurmeet's view.
So first of all, let's talk about who can actually invest. Anybody who has a PAN card, a bank account, and then any address proof which he has can invest into mutual fund SIP. The procedure is very simple. You can approach any of the fund house. If you have any family advisor, you can approach them, or you can approach any of the CAMS or CARBI offices. You can take their help also. You can ask for help. It's always better to ask for help from the people if you're not aware about the funds, because rather than looking at the portals and looking at the return and chasing return will not help, because that is something which has happened in the past. There are many other aspects which you should look at while investing into equity mutual fund. And there's a simple form, KYC form, which you need to do, where you need one of your photograph also. And along with the KYC form, you can fill a SIP form also. So there is no need that you have to be KYC compliant and then only you can do a SIP. Along with that, you can submit the SIP application, depending on what amount you want to choose, and you can submit at any of the AMCs or CARBI CAMS offices. That's how he can do. Now, when you talk about any new child which is coming in the family and you want to plan for that child, you can open a under-guardian account with that child, and because till the time he is not major, he can't do that. He can't register for SIP, but you can do it on his behalf in that account. And till 18, you can do SIPs from that account, and after that, the entire nomenclature of the account will change to a major, and then he can. If he wants, he can continue at his end. If you want, you can still continue doing as a joint account holder. That's how it works.
Okay, that's interesting. And do you think that that's the right approach? That for a couple, you've had a child, open an SIP in the child's name, and keep putting money into that and let it keep growing. Is that a good approach?
Yeah, so so now these days fund houses also have exclusive dedicated children plans. But the core principle is either you take a dedicated plan, which is a children plan, or you can, as Kshitiz said, that under guardianship of the parent, you can open the account, and you have a goal that at 18 years, let's say I need money for higher education, and by the time the child becomes major, a goal approaches, and then that amount can be. So it's good to earmark it. So if you want to, for children, it's better to do it under guardianship, because then you earmark. Because your corpus would be divided into children education, their marriage, your retirement goals, your near-term goals, which could be a house or a. So it's good to earmark it. So within the broader corpus you want to create, earmarking helps. And in children plan, you can afford to be a little more long, because that's let's say 15, 20 years away. So allocation towards equity funds can be higher. Something which is 5 years away, like that you want to buy a house or a car, the allocation to fixed income deserves more merit, because you can't really take a 5 year. Also, you talked about fixed income. It creates more tax efficiency. So if you, let's say, want to buy a house which is, let's say, 4 years, I'm just taking an example. The debt funds are taxed at capital gain, which are 20% with indexation. Unlike an RD or a bank recurring bank deposit, it gets added as an interest income, and at a higher slab, you will almost end up paying as per your slab. And this is 20% with indexation, debt funds. So after 3 years, you are actually paying. If you take a flat rate, about 8 to 10%, assuming 4-5% inflation. So it also brings in some tax efficiency for people who are at the higher brackets.
So my final question, again taking up from investing for your child through SIPs, if you look at the gross amount that you need, it varies. I've heard various financial planners. I'd like to hear what you both think. Varies from about 2 crore to 4 crore over a lifetime up till say 21 years of age. A large chunk of that probably comes in the end, right? When you've got to send your child for higher education, especially if you want to send her to a global school or a global college. So how much, if I'm looking at say a 2 crore kind of a corpus at the lower end of it, I don't know what your number is, but maybe that's what I keep hearing, 2 to 4 crore. What's the kind of SIP that I need to start with?
So let's say if you have 17, 18 years to go for that child education, at least 25,000 SIP is what is required. Normally we say rule of 15, in 15 years, 15,000 SIP will become a crore. But after that, 15% has to come. I think 12% is a more right number. 15% is not ambitious. Okay, basically, whatever portfolios we recommend, me and Gurmeet at our end, underlying earning of those portfolios are in excess of 18-20%. But still, we tell our clients that 12% is a more realistic number, which you should expect from equity as a return. So I think 25,000 is what is the right number over 18 years that one should do a SIP, so that it can get you close, or maybe 25, maybe 30,000 is the right number to get you close, because we are taking now 12% as a rate of return, and there is a component of long-term capital gain also of 10%.
That's right.
So 30,000 is the right number which one should look at in parking in these funds. Maybe 5 funds they can choose. Rightly said by him, because it's a long term, you can actually choose multi-cap and maybe couple of large and mid cap also.
And maybe keep increasing it, because this will probably get you to a crore, but you may need 2 to 3 crores if you want to send your child
Another thing,
abroad.
sir, whenever you have that goal date which is approaching, and actually your goal has been approached in terms of, you should take out the money and park in liquid funds.
Yes, that's very important.
So very important. That's one of the interview he also mentioned, from where I picked that equity markets are no one's friends. So when you actually need the money, if market is corrected by 20-30% at that time, then you'll be in a problem. So if you are approaching your goal and your goal is approached in terms of your corpus, you should take out the money and park in liquid fund. Don't wait unless it's your retirement corpus, which you actually do SWP. Otherwise, these short-term goals, you can take out the money and park in liquid funds.
Yeah.
See, other thing you rightly pointed, it should be a step-up approach. So
Right.
we have our incomes which grow up at a certain rate, depending if you're a salaried guy, you grow. So keep
if
stepping.
I'm a young parent, I'm 30 years old, and I know that at 40 I'll be earning maybe 3x or 4x
Correct.
or whatever.
So keep stepping it up. Also, we keep a sight on the nominal rate of growth in the economy. So if you see 30 years of index, the index is up 12%, which is in line with the nominal growth we have in India, which is 6-7% growth and
Plus
5-6%.
inflation, yes.
I think now the nominal rate is more like 10%. You have 6-7% growth and 3% inflation.
And hence the 12%.
And hence the
number
10-12%. So a conservative number would help you. Also will give you some contingency, because you can have a really bad cycle in between, which can erode, and you need to probably then at that point of time, realign. So stepping it up, and once you are approaching the goal, he's right. Just take off, the money off the table. If let's say the goal is achieved in the 14th year instead of 15th year, and that's the time you can act. So a right exit strategy as you approach to in the final lap of your goal is also extremely important.
Wonderful talking to both of you. Thank you very much,
you.
Gurmeet. Thank you, Kshitiz, for joining me here. Thank you.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.